Now, Eskimos famously have many words for ice. Judaism has many words for bad speech. There's rechilut, which is gossip. There's lashon hara, which is slander when it's true. There's metishemer, which is slander when it's not true. And we put a lot of emphasis on not speaking negatively. As a matter of fact, the two portions that we read today, that we read on Shabbat, is about tzarat, which is a lesion or leprosy on the body, which is a spiritual ailment that is then seen on the physical body of the person due to speaking lashon hara, due to speaking badly about other people. Now, this focus is all on the negative, but there is the counterbalance to this as well, and we don't put as much focus on it as maybe we should. And the Rebbe introduces this idea with the following. When the Torah tells us about the third kind of tzarat, the discoloration that happens in your home, it introduces it in a way that's like it's introducing a positive event. When you will come to the land and you will settle it, I will give you a lesion, a discoloration in the walls of your home. This is the same expression given when the Torah tells us about Bikurim, about the first fruits. When you come to the land and you'll have the fruits will come to your trees, then. Whereas the lesion on the body or on the garment is just set straight forward when a man has a lesion on his skin. So what good news is there in this? So Rashi brings from our sages that the good news of the tzarat in the homes is because the nations that lived there, when they heard that the Jews are coming, they were afraid, and they sold their possessions, and they put it in gems and gold and treasures, and they hid it in the walls of their home, figuring that even if they're conquered, they'll come back one day and get their treasures again. So when you had a lesion in your wall of your home, you had to break down the wall, and you found a treasure. So it was actually a positive thing. You thought it was a negative, it was actually a positive. We see in life many times, we think it's a negative, it's actually positive. I just heard from someone yesterday, he was selling Pita breads to Woolworths and so on, and they squeezed them and squeezed them and squeezed them. And it was becoming impossible to earn a living. Then they returned everything after 1 or 2 days. If it wasn't sold, they would return it to him. Now he has these pitot in his home. What's he going to do with it? 3 days old, 3 day old. So he decided to dry the pitot and make breadcrumbs. And then he started selling the breadcrumbs. And the breadcrumbs have become such a good seller that he doesn't even sell the pitot anymore. He just goes straight to the breadcrumbs. So that which was a curse, that the pitot weren't sold, became his greatest blessing, that he's now selling breadcrumbs in a huge way. And this is what happened. They thought, they knocked down my home, but actually it was a treasure in the house. Many times that happens to us. We have to always consider that. But there's another lesson that we can learn here. Rashi uses not the more broader term for the nations of Israel, which was Canaanites. The Canaanites could either be seen as an individual nation or the general 7 nations that lived in Israel. He uses the term Amorites, even though the Torah uses Canaanites. And there's a practical reason for it, which I won't go into it now, but there is a spiritual reason that the Rebbe gives, and that is this. Rashi's telling us, when you have your home ultimately have a tzaras and it breaks down, how do you come back from it? How do you transform the negativity of lashon hara? Therefore, it says emor. What's emor mean? Speak. What do you mean speak? Speak positively. Positive speech is what can undo the negative speech. Positive speech has very great power to transform things in this world in a positive way. Positive speech to people, about people, that makes a huge difference, to the extent the Zohar says something fascinating. In the purification for the Mitzorah, he has to bring 2 wild birds, pigeons, tzipor. And he brings these 2 birds. One of them is slaughtered, and one is dipped into the blood of the slaughtered one, sprinkled on the Mitzorah, and then it's let go to fly away free. Says Zohar, what's this about? It says like this: the bird that you slaughtered, the bird that's tweeting, that you slaughtered, that represents the negative speech has to be eradicated. But the bird that you let go, That's a reference to the positive speech that you were stingy with, that you didn't let go, that you didn't let free, the compliments you didn't give, the praise you didn't give, the prayer for people that you didn't make. That has to be let go. That's a part of Lashon Hara. That's a part of this whole process, of this whole idea, is not only not to speak negatively, but speak positively. So here's a beautiful story that expresses this idea. There's a woman called Henny Carneal. She's an educator in Kfar Chabad, and she was such a good educator that the state asked her to go to a moshav, I think it was called Kuma in the south, and there was a place there with where a educational facility that was for troubled children, troubled homes and difficult upbringings and all kinds of problems. She was such a wonderful educator that after 1 year of being there, most of those girls actually transferred to normal schools there after a year, because she took an interest in them and made a difference, and actually made a huge difference in their life. But there was one girl, came from a Jewish woman and an Arab husband, who she tried to deal with and to help. And she went to the house to try to talk to the parents. And the father says, I know where you live. I want you out of here. Otherwise, I'm going to come and hurt you. That was that. So she wrote a letter to the Rebbe what she should do. The Rebbe said she should say the chapter of Tehillim, of Psalms, of this girl. In other words, every one of us, the year of every birthday, we go up to the next chapter. So if you're 60, you do 61. If you're 22, you do 23, etc. So she started saying the chapter of Tehillim for this girl. For 14 years she said it. Her husband was doing an event in a Chabad house somewhere, and this woman comes up to him with a 10-year-old girl, and she says to him, I'm looking for Mrs. Carneal. Your Benny Carneal must be your wife. Yes, I'm looking for her because I want to tell her that I also married an Arab from Yehuda v'Shamron, and gave me tremendous difficulty with my Jewish life and so on. And I finally went back home. I wanted to tell her that because I know how much she cared for me. The positive things she said, the Tehillim she said on a daily basis for this woman helped. So there's the positivity, just saying a prayer for someone, just saying, God, why does he have to suffer? He's such a good guy. Why should he suffer? Saying that, speaking to God about other people. Why should they suffer? Why should they be hurt? And how much more so, saying a good word to someone directly, a compliment. Ooh, that could transform a life. So we had to even bring a bird and then let it go to symbolize the concept. You have to also atone for all the good compliments you could have given people that you didn't. Think about that. And when we think in those terms, we will for sure eradicate negative speech and the result of it. Shabbos.